There's a drive, way back. He did not miss this one. It's too early for a crown, but it's gone.
I told you. I felt it, and you delivered.
Yes.
You delivered.
Hey, not just a kind of good home run call. Tom Glavine nailed the. Was that Marcell Ozuna that hit that homer that you called last year, Tom?
I forget, to be honest with you. I was so worried about it because, I was the only one that didn't have one the first game, so there's a lot of buildup going into it. And Smoltz just kept that pouring gas on the fire. So I was more worried about doing it, so I don't remember who hit the home run.
Hey, it's good to see you. Thanks for taking some time with us. We played a little excerpt from that game that you called, or you did a couple of them last year, the players-only takeover. It was you, Francoeur, Chipper, and Smoltz. And you had the most channeling, I think, of Skip Carey of any of those guys. Was there an influence there for so many years as a Brave, hearing his voice without even trying?
I guess not trying. I mean, God knows I listened to him an awful lot through his years, and I actually enjoyed listening to him. It's funny. I felt like early on when we were terrible, he was better when we were terrible because it was he got to be funny and make some jokes and do some things. And then when we were actually good and had to do more play-by-play, he lost a little bit of that. But no, he was great. He was an icon, obviously, great to listen to. But no, I don't. If there was anything there, then it was purely coincidence.
Love it.
Hey, what do you like about doing the games, Tom?
I think first and foremost, it keeps me around it. I still love the game and like watching it. I mean, there are things, I guess, like for all of us who played it, that I don't necessarily love in today's game and some of the changes. But, at the heart of it, I still love the game. So it keeps me around it, gives me something to do, I guess, without being too married to a crazy schedule.
Anytime your name's brought up, it's Smoltz, Glavine, Maddox, right? That's what you hear all the time, the trio. So give me the background on the relationships. Were they instant, or did they have to build over years, or how'd that come about?
I think they were fairly instant, at least for Smoltzy and I. I was a little ahead of Smoltzy when we made the trade to get him. That was a trade that actually got me to the big league. So, and then John was shortly after that. So, I think for he and I, being young guys kind of trying to find our way, there was a commonality there. But also, we like to play golf. So, we played a lot of golf and got to know each other that way. And then when Greg came over, I think golf, same thing, was the instant link. We played a lot of golf in spring training, so we got to know each other and got to know that pretty early on that Greg was sick and you had to keep your eye on him when you were around him. So, but I think the golf thing was the common bond. But then obviously, coming to the ballpark every day, I think we all had similar personalities. We all worked hard. We all wanted to be the best we could be. And took a lot of pride in what we did.
And you guys had to have the right manager to golf because that wasn't commonplace. Guys today on the teams, they go golf, and it's pretty commonplace. It was not back in the 90s when you were playing. How'd that come about?
A lot of managers had different feelings on it. I know, even when I went to New York, it wasn't, I don't want to say it was frowned upon, but listen, when we would go on a road trip and, I think we would all pack our golf clubs before we packed our suitcase. And then, we'd get on a road trip, come to the ballpark, and Bobby would be sitting there. He'd be the first one to ask us, where'd you guys play today? I think he knew what it meant to us, but I think ultimately he knew it didn't get in the way of what we were doing. He trusted us.
Yeah, it didn't hurt to win 20 games. Okay, you can do it.
Yeah, really, you guys can do whatever you want.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, as long as, he knew we were going to do our work and it wasn't going to get in the way of that, and he knew it was a release for us to, get away from the stress of the season. So I think it was a win-win for all of us, and it didn't hurt that Bobby loved to play golf too. So I think he was good that way.
And of course, speaking of golf, we got to pop the event coming up next month that you're participating in yet again. It's a Celebrity Golf Classic at Las Colinas, PGA Tour Champions competition. They play 54 holes. Some of the greats in not only our game, but across the sporting landscape. Emmett Smith, Vince Carter,
Kevin Millar. He fit in that group.
How do you handicap this thing, Tom? Who goes off as the favorite?
Well, I think one of the guys that's not on that list is Tony Romo, so I think he'll certainly be at the top of it. He's always right there. You know, guys like Mulder, Smoltzy's always got a chance. So you know, it's kind of the guys. I think Marty Fish is playing, so those are the guys that are usually near the top, and then the rest of us are kind of vying for somewhere, you know, maybe top 10 or something like that. But who knows? You know, I mean, I think we always go to these things thinking that maybe this is the weekend that it'll click for me for all 3 days and something good could happen. Who knows? So I've got 2 goals, not necessarily in this order: win the tournament and beat Smoltz. So we'll see how it goes.
Hey, you've been playing a long time, and you play against a lot of different celebrities, like we just saw that list. Has there been a player that hits a ball that just shocked you, that he could hit the ball that good?
Well, you know, I think 2 years ago when I played in Tahoe, my first round, I got paired up with Mulder and Marty Fish, you know, 2 guys that had won the tournament or won other tournaments. And I'm thinking to myself, how did I get paired up with these guys? Other than we're all left-handed, I'm not really sure where I fit in. So I think playing with those guys, yeah. You know, I don't struggle for distance, so to speak, but those guys hit the ball to another level. And, you know, you see some of the shots they hit, particularly with their drivers, and it's like, you know, I can't possibly hit the ball that far. They hit the ball a little bit crisper than I do on a consistent basis. So that's why they're generally near the top. But, you know, there's some guys on that grouping that, you know, if they spent a little bit more time doing it, they're probably pretty good.
You were among the first to kind of re-baptize our Studio 42 into kind of short course training ground when you were here in 2014 with your Hall of Fame class. Dan Plesac was there, kind of orchestrating the fun. Hey, I do want to ask you a little bit about baseball here, talk a little baseball while we have you, because we mentioned this earlier. 305 wins, only 20 pitchers in the history of the sport have ever won more games than you. The active wins leader right now, Tom, as you're aware of, Justin Verlander, with 257, and it's taken him 18 years to get there. He's 40 years old. Is our sport ever going to see another 300-game winner?
You know, I hate to say never, but I certainly wouldn't bet on it. You know, I think when you look at the guys who have done it, there's one commonality. You got to pitch 20 years to do that. You know, that's just the way that it is. And, you know, in today's game, I think it's becoming harder and harder for guys to stay healthy to pitch for 20 years. I mean, you look at Verlander, and, you know, he's still got a ways to go at 40 years old. So who knows? You know, he's kind of been the bionic man, it seems. So I wouldn't rule him out necessarily. But, you know, I think the health thing is the number one thing. But number two, I think in today's games, guys aren't getting the opportunity to win games nearly as much as we did, right? I mean, right. I don't know how many games I won from the 7th inning on, but I know there were a few, and you just don't see guys getting that opportunity very much, if at all, in today's game anymore. So, you know, you lose out on a lot of those opportunities. And, you know, again, I mean, we were making 35, 36 starts a year. Guys aren't doing that nearly as much anymore, if at all. So I think all those are factors that are just making it harder and harder for guys to go out there and win games on a yearly basis, let alone, like I said, the fact that you've got to do it for 20 plus years to get there. You know, it's just hard as guys are throwing nowadays. I don't see their bodies being able to last that long.
So you're an exclusive group, not just 300, but the Hall of Fame. And so when you go to the Hall of Fame, you guys get a chance to sit around, talk, hang out. So I'm wondering, what's the conversation with your brethren, the pitchers, what's the standard going to be? Somebody's got to get in the Hall of Fame eventually, you know, in years to come. So what's the standard now? It used to be 300, you're in. You get this X amount of strikeouts, you're in. What are you guys talking about? What's the standard you're looking at?
I mean, I think it's all of that, right? But I think obviously the benchmarkers, so to speak, of 300 wins you're in, obviously that's becoming harder and harder, if not downright gone. Yeah. So now you have to start judging guys in different criteria, right? And so, I mean, I think a good guy that you look at is a guy like Pedro, right? I mean, Pedro didn't have 300 wins, but Pedro was really dominant. You look at his winning percentage, if I'm not mistaken, it's either the best in the game or right there at the top. So you have to start looking at criterias like that. You know, think a guy, I mean, to me, Verlander's a no-brainer. His body of work is fantastic. He's got a lot of wins, obviously. But then you look at a guy like Jake DeGrom. I think he's a guy that people look at in today's game and say, okay, well, where does he fit in? He certainly meets the criteria of being dominant in his era. He certainly meets the criteria of doing a lot of those great things on a short basis. Is that going to be the criteria now? I don't know. I mean, there's certainly going to have to be some adjustments because the 300 markers out the window. And again, to my point earlier, it's getting harder and harder to judge guys solely on wins because guys just aren't being able to stay in a game long enough to get to benefit and get a lot of those wins.
Hey, Tom, we appreciate the visit
stuff,
this
man.
morning, man. Great talking with you. Good luck at Las Colinas next month. Smoltz always says, if you can find me at 8.5 to 1 or shorter, put a couple of dollars of pizza money on me. So we'll be looking at those odds boards for you as well. We appreciate the visit, man.